Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and my ficus, tiger bark ficus to be more specific, that you can see right here. The plan for it today is to actually repot it. The reason for my decision to repot it now is actually I have over the last couple of days and weeks spotted a lot of yellowing leaves. Before it was only on old foliage, which is quite common for ficus. However, the last couple of days I've already seen that also on new branches there has been yellowing leaves and dropping leaves. So I definitely want to get it out of the soil I have purchased it in. So this is a commercially grown tree. It comes in the usual soil that they use, which is very dense, very compact, and as a matter of fact, and because of this, also very prone to root rot. So definitely time to get it out of this soil. It is still spring, still growth season. Keep it indoors, so it's definitely not a bad time to repot anyway. So instead of risking it actually developing root rot or it further spreading in case there should be any already, I decided it is the time to actually take a look at it and repot it into better fitting soil. So for that we will take out the tree of the soil it is in right now and of the pot it is in right now. It is actually not that easy to take it out, so let's see how the roots actually look. So let's try to remove it without damaging the roots too much. I can see some roots here already at the bottom, so they have already also moved out of the pot before, it seems. Quite a nice root structure, but as I said, very dense soil, and it is already quite wet, even though I haven't watered it in the last 2 or 3 days. So definitely sits too long in the soil, and that's why it's good to look at it for now. Let me move out the pot out of the way for now. And I usually start from breaking off this old soil from the top of the tree and working my way down to the more finer roots. Then I can see it is this usual soil that is used for commercially grown trees. There's some sand also in it at certain parts. Interesting mixture, but the sand also very compact. So as you can see here, a lot of sand falling out now. Also not really well draining because it was covered by this other part of the soil that is more coco coir-like, that made it all stick together, it seems. Very, very weird mixture, I must say. I mean, sand's at least normally well draining, but I think in this case it didn't really help the tree either. For now I'm using simply my hands to break off the soil. I will move then on probably to chopsticks to really get into the more finer parts of the root system. But as it is mainly sand right now, it's still working this way. The soil itself, yes, definitely not a good soil, I can tell you that much. So it really was about time to repot it. To be honest, probably the best thing that I could have done is to repot it right away when I brought it home, when I purchased it. But the second best time is of course now. But I think if I would have waited longer, I would have had a severe case of root rot with this tree. Because you can see how wet the soil still is, even though it has been quite a while since watering it, and that is definitely a bad sign. So maybe for growth season, with a lot of sunlight and anyway higher temperatures, it probably could have worked still. But come autumn, I would probably have lost this tree if I didn't catch it early enough then. So much sand they put here in the middle. And sadly also where all this sand was, I don't see many roots. So the roots have definitely then preferred to grow in the more coco coir-like soil. But definitely a horrible mixture to put in this tree. Of course, they put it in because it makes it easier to transport. It doesn't dry out as fast. So the chance of a tree surviving a long transport time is of course way higher than if you put it in Akadama, for example, where of course it would dry out so fast that by the time it arrives in Europe or the United States or Northern America, it would have already dried out completely. So slow and steady, we're getting there. So here still see a lot of sand, but I think we're not needing chopsticks because ficus in general, they never have that, especially when you were in soil like this, they never have a very, very good and very fine root system. So I don't see a complete need right now to already go in here with chopsticks because I wouldn't see where, to be honest. What I do like is we have almost a potential of creating a nice pad here in the future. I can see some roots that are growing downwards. We will take care of them soon. I think then we can get a nice root flare here in the future and also really work a bit more on the structure of the tree. What I will do quickly now is actually give it a bit of a rinse, and then we will take another look at this tree. So I have cleaned off most of the soil, or actually all of the soil now, and now it's time to repot it. I will use the pot that it was in before because the size actually fit quite nicely for the tree. Before we do that, however, of course, we should still work a little bit on those roots here. So as I said, we have a lot of roots growing downwards that we can actually take out because in the future, of course, we want to have a nice pad here of the roots. So we'll simply just go in quite liberally here, cutting away everything that grows downwards, and then look a bit more at the root structure here. So we have one here that actually is curling up on itself. In itself is quite a long root and a very thick root, so I think we will take this one back to all the way, actually, I would say. So I would probably go in even a bit further up here. Let's see if I can do it actually with these scissors or if I need to get my garden shears, but ficus roots normally are very easy to cut back. Here we also have a thicker root that I also would take back a little bit. So just to give you an idea, it's this one here that we can take back to a finer side root here. So we take this one out. And this already gives us a nice root flare. Here we have an aerial root that is growing quite nicely that we simply need to make sure we again put into the soil in a nice looking way. Also here, this is part of the aerial root, not growing down too far for me, I think. So I'm quite happy with the roots as they look, how they flare out. This one here is also growing a bit on itself. However, it is so far up, this could actually become a nice part of the Nebari. We just need to make sure we plant it a bit underneath here, then it should be fine. So I'm quite happy with the roots. Now let's prepare the pot. As you can see, I already put in some wire to stabilize the tree then. So I'm putting in some of the soil mixture I have here, which is mainly anorganic soil, mainly clay, pumice, but also a bit of bark. I put even some stones in there to make it as airy as possible. We see if this already gives us the desired depth for the tree or if we should go a bit further down. I will definitely stick to this as the front of the tree as it was also before. So I was quite happy with the positioning of the tree. Just the health of the tree was a problem. Do I want it higher? Maybe slightly higher actually. So we'll create a little mound here in the middle on which we will position the tree. Make sure all the roots still fit inside. However, as they did so before into the same tree, that shouldn't be a problem now, making them fit again. And I think I'm happy with the positioning. So we can tie in the tree. I will go around here from the back, I think. Trying maybe to go in between here, this aerial root, to keep it a bit separated from the main trunk of the tree also. This already holds quite nicely in place. And then also work here our way around all of the aerial roots. and make it also hook to this side, giving it a nice stabilizing factor already so it doesn't jump out of the pot, which it normally shouldn't do anyway, but as I keep it indoors, but better safe than sorry, I say. And then we go around filling out all the open areas here around the tree quite liberally with the soil mixture that I have here, also here in the back still. Making sure we have also the aerial root in a position that we like. Maybe spreading it out here a bit in the front. This one maybe moving actually a bit out here, spreading the aerial root a bit, as it does so anyway by itself, so why not incorporate it in the design of the tree. Then let me grab a chopstick, because what we need to do now, of course, still is to work in the soil around the tree and under the tree to make sure all the spaces around the roots are also nicely covered with soil and there's no pockets in there somewhere where there's no soil. I can see how the soil is already still working its way down, so there were definitely some pockets that we can fill in right now. Also here around the pot. And then we see, do we still need some soil or not? But I think I'm quite happy with the height of the soil for now. What I will do then afterwards still, of course, is give it a good soak. So really make sure the entire soil is drenched in water, and then simply keep an eye on the health and shape of this tree. Just giving myself again the possibility to actually look at it. Maybe still move it a bit in this direction, make it a bit stand up here. This we can still do by still working some of the soil still underneath here while I stabilize it with my hands. And then I actually can see we still can put some soil here. Fill this section out again. And now I'm happy with the way the tree looks. So almost, I would say, an emergency repot, because I think with the soil it was in, it would have not survived for much longer. Just once too long in soil like this can already have a very, very damaging effect on the tree. So happy I did the repotting today. Hopefully this will improve the health of the tree. I will keep an eye on it, see how in the future it will do with dropping leaves. If it also will drop new leaves. If it drops old leaves, as I said, for ficus, that is quite common, especially when new growth comes in. However, as it was also starting to drop new leaves, definitely I think the right decision to repot it. I will keep you updated on this tree. If you have any questions about it, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them as soon as I see them. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it, and if you enjoy my channel, of course, feel free to subscribe to it. And hopefully then I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.